Chloé, warm welcome to Startup Grind.
Thank you, Jens, for having me here
Yeah.
in Hong Kong.
Yeah, in Hong Kong virtually.
Yes.
And we're really excited to dig into sovereign AI and data privacy today.
Yes. I'm excited to talk about that too.
Yeah. And as a start, could you kind of make a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure. So my name is Chloé Maurel, and my role at Maites is a CEO, and I'm a co-founder. We are two people relentlessly working on this startup, which is basically trying to bring accessibility for deploying private AI agents on-premise, either locally on the computers of employees or on the private server instance for larger companies. And it's been so far 1.5 years we're developing the product. We had a full-time job at the beginning, so we took some time, but basically we are really dedicated to state-of-the-art technology with an automation engine, proprietary automation engine, which is similar to N8N, and as well as we developed the AI engine to help to allow you to run AI like open source models on your computers or private server. Yeah. So it's like really a tech company. And the more I pitch this company, the more I try to go out of the tech to more say, yeah, the vision is really to bring accessibility, privacy being more accessible for middle-sized companies to also large companies, because we see the cost of AI growing more and more. So yeah, that's the purpose of the company.
Yeah,
yes.
That's great. And thank you for the background. And as you said, yes, as you pitch the company, because as a founder, you need to again and again and again tell people what you do. And of course, as you said, find the pain points. What, as you said, you were working corporate and you're two co-founders. What made you take the leap to start Maites?
It started from, I kind of fall in love with the project my co-founder did, which was the automation engine 2 years ago. He did that as an open source project for his own passion, let's say, and I saw the beauty of this product technology and the potential. And at this time, AI was like booming, and I was talking to him saying we should combine this local automation engine to a local AI engine and do something amazing to kind of a little bit like Maites today, kind of create AI agents that is capable to automatically understand what automation needs to do based on the prompting. So that was the vision 2 years ago. We took some time. We continued developing the automation engine, the AI engine, and also all the RAG systems. So yeah, the leap was really, I saw the potential of this automation engine and wanted to do something that is private as well, because I come from a manufacturing background, and this, like the company I was working from, has like something between 500 to 700 employees, and it was like more like a family-owned company, and they all have their server in-house with their own IT team, their own costs, and they were very particular about privacy. And so I kind of saw the potential for this type of industries, and with the tools my co-founder started, there was like opportunity, let's say. Yes.
Yeah. And as you said, I mean, we're going to talk about sovereign AI and the data privacy, and that's kind of the whole setup. But sovereign AI is a word that maybe not everybody knows what it is. So when you say sovereign AI, what does it really mean for a company?
To me, it means several parameters. Sovereign AI is first, do you want to control your data? Where do you want to have them located? You have different level of acceptance. So some companies are very strict about their data governance, so they will just have their own IT team and internal servers. Some will privilege the local cloud suppliers, so hosting the data in the region they operate, using the regulation and etc. But to me, it's also a matter of, for instance, today the political background, like geopolitics in action, and you maybe want, the more you want your strategy in the long term. And we can see that some major cloud providers today provide the AI LLMs, and Is where do you want to be dependent from? Do you want to own the value that brings your company competitive? If something happened and or data breach also, do you want to have your own system locally and as a proprietary value asset, let's say? Yeah. So it's really about security, privacy. Where do you want to put your data? Yeah.
Yeah, your own data. Because of the word sovereign, we also have sovereign wealth funds, and also like it's your own. Now, as you mentioned, the company that you were involved with, the manufacturing company, were very cautious and thinking about their data. If you would ask, so normally what you think, like, yes, banks and as companies like that, they are very regulated, so they think that they would follow these rules. But maybe a lot of companies say, well, we're not in a regulated industry, so standard AI tools are fine for us. Why is that a dangerous mindset?
It depends of also, like you mentioned, the banks. Lately, I talked to executive in a big bank in Hong Kong, and I see a trend about, for instance, the banks, they will put a private instance on like AWS and they will host their LLMs there. And I talked to someone who said recently they are just now realizing the cost of it, because you have to pay all the transaction between the cloud server plus the AI credits. And in every department of, for instance, banks, there is many new adoption projects, and to manage to control these costs becomes very difficult right now. So I think in the coming years there will be like a structuration of the AI usage, and the companies will think about, okay, how do I control these costs without impacting the value I get right now with AI? And to answer your question, this mindset, like, is it a dangerous mindset to not have right to privacy? That was your question, sorry.
Well,
Like,
or maybe because of a bank is regulated and law firms
yeah.
are regulated, so they will comply to what the legislation is in
Yes.
the jurisdiction. But if you are another manufacturing company, you say, well, hey, we are not regulated, so we could use these standard AI tools that provided by OpenAI or Anthropic or Microsoft, and of course then their data goes to the suppliers. So that's why I was asking about the mindset of not thinking about it, and what is a dangerous mindset for them not to realize where the data goes.
Yes, for the companies who still use on-premise and in-house servers, usually they work in the R&D industry, or they're in even, let's say, they have no regulation in terms of data protection, such as banks, but the ones who still choose full privacy kind of have the mindset of, yes, we want to keep our assets, right? And if you, for instance, develop R&D and new formulas, or that's a strategy you're implementing. But the problem with these companies, they don't innovate fast, because they rely on like some teams that might not have the urge to innovate, the flexibility of the cloud providers, the SaaS platforms. So, for instance, Maites would like to help these companies to innovate faster while keeping their privacy and not being. So again, I think I'm not replying completely to a question, but for the mentality of being to not think about the regulation and still say, okay, any AI provider is fine, it's not necessarily a problem. It depends of your strategy. Again, it's like depend of your trust with the provider you have, depend of also your dependency on a supplier. Do you want to diversify? For instance, some banks currently were all in Google, and now they try to mix their provider with Mistral to have a more neutral ground. So it's about a mix, and in the future, I think more and more companies will realize about their dependency on just one actor and try to find some mix, maybe also including more privacy with tools like Mate, but there is a lot of companies developing such tools today. So yeah.
Yeah, and as the AI becomes smarter and smarter, you want to diversify your AI so you also get different answers, and also can sort of judge from one to the other if the answer is good or the conclusion.
Yes.
So, I mean, you talk to a lot of people and you meet a lot of people and you talk about this, about sovereign AI and the importance of it. So, what are the most common kind of wake up moments when leaders realize maybe their data isn't as private as they thought?
So most of the case, I see that some potential clients come to me and want the privacy, and I realize actually they want the security. That's what I see a lot. there's a big confusion between security and privacy, even if it's like correlated. But there is, for instance, like a cloud provider is super secure in a way because there's an army of engineers guarding the walls of these data centers. But so it's very secure in a way in terms of architecture. The privacy might not be the full extent of such more local or on-premise softwares. But what I see from the people I talk to is there's different profiles, and some companies do not have the luxury to have privacy. So some really just deny it, just do not see the need because also they don't have the budget. It's also, I think, privacy is a matter of budget. Today, there is not enough softwares that can compete with the cloud. Cloud is far superior in features and implementation time is way faster. And if you want to compete with the cloud, you need to set up an engineer team that will cost you like several thousands, 100,000 of USD per year. And if you're just 50 employees, you have not this power. So we can see that the more budget, the more employee you have, the more companies actually implement privacy in their process. So
no, but I think what you said about the security and privacy is not the same, or they are related, but it's a very important point you're making here, because your data is secure with a provider, for example, maybe in the terms and conditions of that provider, it says, oh, we're allowed to use your data to train on. It's secure, but not private. So I think that's a very good point too, because I want my data to be safe. And of course in that, so.
And actually about that, I have a story. So I read, for instance, all the privacy terms and data processing agreements of most clouds providers. One of them, I will not name it, but one of them actually have a good turnaround to this training model, like the condition. So what I discovered is like some providers, they still, the service is quite cheap, what they provide for the AI. And when it's cheap, there's something behind sometimes. And I discovered that when a feature is what we call the pre-production, such as labeled as alpha, beta, or pre-production, even if you're enterprise-grade privacy contract, they still have the right to train on your data. So any new features basically help them train on your data, despite being super backed by some data processing agreements and stuff like that. So maybe I'm also a bit biased, but I really read them, and when I found out, I was like, oh, that I got it. I was really proud.
No, but it's a really good point. And sometimes we jokingly said that if it's for free, you are the product.
Yeah.
And in this case, yes, it's cheap, but it's also important to read the terms and conditions and see what you're actually agreeing to. But then, if we're moving on, we then have the situation where a company is not using any AI, but their employees seems to be using AI, which is then called shadow AI. What is shadow AI and why is it becoming such a big issue inside companies?
For shadow AI, we've talked about it a lot since 2 years. It's a big subject. I think from my point of view, because I really focus on privacy, I think it's not that a big deal because, again, I think cloud is not that private. So when an employee goes out to another SaaS or another non-approved provider, it's a big problem, but you need to balance the real leakage from this shadow AI. But yes, the shadow AI is basically if your company do not provide performance tools, state-of-the-art tools to your employees that they need to work to be more productive and competitive, then they will obviously find a way to use public AI providers with free plans, no regulated usage, and no control from the company to track what they do. And they can leak some confidential documents, stuff like that. So we all know this is an issue. But I feel like most companies now, they already implementing in their process state-of-the-art AI. Like we can see that this problem will be maybe not anymore a problem in the coming year or two. Because first, I think the companies did a big progress on the governance rules, communicating the employees, and the tools internally gets better and better. From what I heard from my friends in corporation or the clients I meet, I feel it's like the adoption curve is becoming more mature now. I think the next question really is like, now that you implementing tools that works, that brings KPI, you have two questions in the next 2 years is, how do I control the cost and how do I control the privacy? Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I think, if you ask around, there are a lot of companies who has not yet actually maybe
Yes.
sign up for. So if you are a company and you have a company and you're happy, but how would you know if shadow AI is happening within your organization?
I'm not expert here, but I would say you have processes. I guess the IT departments, if you have like a private internal network, have some logs that they can implement to really track in and out, and it's usually labeled so they can see if it comes from a certain provider and they can ban it. So you can control the leak from like a real IT process, like IT rule, kind of through the internal private network of the company. That I think that will be the best to organize the strategy with your IT team and prevent this external connection from targeted providers, and try to implement as soon as possible good tools internally as well. Yeah.
Yeah, having that observability of your network traffic, but as you said, also give the employees the tools they need.
Yeah.
So we covered risks, and so a lot of people in the audience are probably thinking, okay, so what should I kind of really do about it? So let's talk about the solution side and what you have been building at Maites. So from a non-technical perspective, what do you explain that Maites does for a business?
So that's the thing I need to work on because I tend to go technical a lot. But so basically, we are helping corporation to deploy. And when I mean deploy is downloading a software, either in a centralized situation, meaning you have a server and then communicating with your employee device on a desktop. We provide a desktop app as well, or on a centralized model where you just run and download a software that is directly usable for your employees if you do not have an IT team to maintain a central server, for instance. But basically, we want to give the capacity and the option, the alternative for business to have the latest technology, meaning automation linked to AI, the power of that on your computer or your server, with like always keeping in mind that you have the control of all your data. It's not accessible from the provider, which is us. Once you have it installed and deployed, we do not have access. It runs offline as well. So that's the idea. That's the technology we are developing so far since 1 year and a half, almost 2 years. Yeah. And it's really fast implementation. We want to compete with the cloud. So our values is fast implementation, affordability, and state-of-the-art technology. Yes.
Yeah, and affordability and cost, of course, is one of those important questions. And
Yeah.
I guess the cloud providers have been kind of good at teaching us that you have a monthly cost, etc. And in some respects, it's good that you can get a lot of storage space that you couldn't even have in your office. But a lot of people might assume that running AI on your own system is more expensive than having a cloud-based tool. So from what you have seen, of course, that's why you also developed Maites. It's not really true that it is that way, or what is your take on the cost side of things?
Yes, it's true that it's more pricey usually to have an on-premise setup because usually when you develop your own AI tool, meaning not only the UI but also the backend, like the engine to run the AI model on your own server. If you want automation, so you need to create all this technology yourself. It means you need to hire people and good people. So usually the hidden costs of privacy or on-premise is having your own team of IT. And we know depending of the localization of your company, but it can go very high fast. So that's the first thing that prevents companies to develop their own tools. And that's why using cloud is much more cheap, much more accessible. For the cost, now there is also a lot of tools like Olama, like LM Studio, which helps to just IT teams to create fast implementation, like fast local AI. So it's getting better. It's cheaper and cheaper to develop your own tool for privacy and for control and customization, because customization is key. Because the difference between cloud and on-premise is you can really go further for your specific business needs. So for now, it's still more expensive. I run the numbers. Having your own tool developed from scratch or developed with some tools like Olama is still much more expensive, because usually when you, like a normal person who use AI, maybe per month they will have 50,000 tokens per month. So, but for instance, like a standard enterprise ChatGPT subscription is 200 tokens per month for one person. And it's only 30 or 40 US dollar per month. And you do not have to hire your own team. So creating a whole thing when you can have something for 40 or 50 USD per month is quite a trade-off that you know directly which one you take. But
yeah, but good point in regards, because I mean, we don't. First of all, yes, the hardware is one side and so on. That has a cost, but then you also have to find the right people to build, and you also have to keep them on. And building one thing and ops is one thing else. So there is a lot of complexity around that. So a startup grind question is, what type of companies would you like to sort of partner with or test with? Or if you're watching this video right now on YouTube later and you say, oh, I want to try this, like, who are you looking for right now to build partnerships with?
Right now, we are currently looking to implement the solution in as a tech partner with some consultancy firms. We're currently in process to partner with 2 right now. The target first was also to partner with a manufacturing industry who wants to modernize their process using automation and AI, but still have a heavy R&D and wants to keep their internal data safe. We also are implementing in medical clinics. So the healthcare industry is something we are currently exploring because we have a small team right now. We are 3 people. So we focus our energy on the consultancy firm because it's really allow us to scale faster. And we are looking into high customization for them to provide on their clients. So that's the current stage. Yeah. If you are a consultancy firm in IT and you want to provide secure and private solution to your clients, you can talk to me.
And we will also have your details below the video in the chat as well. Now, we covered a lot of ground today, and we're learning a lot. So looking ahead, do you think that big companies, the big AI companies like OpenAI and Google and Anthropic, will move forward giving users more, say, transparent data control, or will sovereign solutions still be needed to sort of fill the gap?
I think there's a room for everyone. And I mean, we all here, like, we will not exist without them. And the people who invent this transformers architecture, thanks to Google, all the technology we use now is really thanks to these cloud providers. So they will always set the trend, set the innovation. We also have tools like Maites and OpenClaw that are outstanding. I take a lot of inspiration from them. But for the on-premise, honestly, we need more people who really develop on-premise software. I did market study. We have more and more in the AI field that provide the on-premise software and privacy with the privacy approach. I think it will become a mix. As I said before, there is really the cost coming with the higher hardware costs with the GPU and CPU. Also, the trend of the computers are getting better and better. For instance, in large group, now the minimum capacity is 16 giga RAM for computers. And for instance, our software can run on 8 giga RAM computers to 16. So we expect the hardware for laptops getting better, running AI. And so, yeah, the mix will, like the on-premise and local, the decentralized system where it runs on computer, I think will really take more ground in the next 5 years, because the large data centers which use NVIDIA GPUs we can see like the price is expecting to double in the next 2 years. So the cloud provider are going to also increase their fees. So there is a big I would say inconnu, like unknown parameters about the cost for every large to small corporation will use that on daily basis because they will have to increase their cost as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of investments that come in, and those investments need to turn a return. And yes, then and as long as there's competition, of course, hopefully the prices will stay in competition. Now, so you do market research. So how do you keep yourself updated on everything AI, and what sort of sources do you recommend that people here in the call follow to learn about what's going on in AI, especially within sovereign AI and data privacy?
I use Maites. I'm a big fan of Maites. So I use it to do market analysis. It's really very easy. You just specify what you need to search, and he can create a report, a data sheet, etc. So I use a lot AI. I'm doing some sort of webinars for people, and it forced me to be, how do we say, like to be on top of the news, because I need to share knowledge to people. So I hold myself accountable for the market analysis, and I create a report of 14 pages that is usually like for me, and I kind of divide the market per privacy, like per 5 parameters, and I update this report every month, let's say. So I update any new AI providers, and I classify them per privacy criteria, but also implementation time, pricing. I have like few criteria that helps me understand the market. Yeah.
So that's a managed sort of agent that you keep running. That's really interesting. Chloé, it's been amazing having you here at Startup Grind. And as you said, you do webinars to keep yourself on top, and that's also what we do. We interview great people like you to get your insights. Now, how do people best stay in contact with you?
You can contact me on LinkedIn, and you can share my email as well in the chat.
And we'll do that. And Chloé, once again, big thank you for being a guest at Startup Grind. What we're going to do now is that I'm going to go and look in the attendees list, and I'm going to look for Tobias.